And
Well, I was always fascinated by large homes, castles. I always had a thing about castles. Kid, my mother, even though she had Alzheimer's when I got the armory, said, "Oh, you always wanted a castle."
help me understand how you think of these homes. Do you think of them as your homes, or do you think of them as
Think of them as art.
right? Because I mean,
And
I think of even someone like Anselm Kiefer has this estate in the south of France where it's just like his playground for his work. Inside of these homes, how do you approach it? Is each room kind of a blank slate for you to create an installation?
well, by installation, I'm kind of recreating in my vocabulary. Like I'm okay. Cyril's castle was built by Mrs. Hopkins, who was the railroad heiress, and her husband, and they were from Great Barrington, and they came back and hired Stanford White to build this building. It was one of the first great houses of the Berkshires. He died while it was being built, the husband, and she married her decorator, this Mr. Searles. Since that time, and they only lived in, she died 4 years after it was built or something. So, and then it became schools for all of its history. So I'm the first person that's turning it back into a home or whatever it is you want to call what I do. So that's interesting in itself. It's like more than 100 years of institutional use, and I'm repurposing it for what it was originally built for. And I'm the staircase he had taken out was from a royal palace in England, and he had two other castles in New Hampshire. So anyway, I'm having it recreated and put back. So I'm kind of I don't change anything radically. I play with color and things, and it's just like a jigsaw puzzle the way these things fall together, and they continually change. I would say at 20 years is a good time for me to play in one place. I don't make art often there. I have done sculptures in Louisiana and some of the big porches that I was commissioned to do, but I get more inspiration from stepping out of the studio. And we have 90 acres at the castle. Had bears on the back porch. We had a
Right.
chipmunk or the other. So all those things feed my psyche and inspire me during the week where I hardly get out at all. Um, but it's just this challenge of these huge places with, we've had a lot of movies that were made, uh, Beguiled, um, the Coppola movie was filmed at one of the houses. We had All the King's Men, Beautiful Creatures, um, Electric Mist, which is fun also. And then I do books on the interiors, which is, just photographing as an art in itself and leads to these documents of what's been done. But I find that I used to travel constantly for shows. For the last 2 years, not so much, but I would bring things back from wherever I went, even anyway, every corner of the universe that I've been to. I find incredible things and period appropriate.
As an outsider, whenever I look at them, I mean, I feel like they're all typified by explosive color on the walls, gothic revival furniture, and then your collection of oddities or whatever's caught your eye.
Porcelains. I'm a big old Paris freak, and I have probably one of the largest collections of Gothic revival scent bottles in creation. I've had a lot of mentors over the years too. Lee Anderson was one of them. Yeah, so it's just been a great, fun part of what I do, and it feeds the work completely. I'm really on a frame jag right now. We do these 100 bunny walls. in old Victorian photo portrait frames.
Tell me about your sculptures. How long have you been working with? Because I know you're working with glass and you're working with,
Bronze.
right. Yeah, I think I've even. Are there smaller wooden ones also? Or my
That's where it started. I've been doing wooden sculptures for 40 years, and they became maquettes for projects I did. I did about 10 monumental sculptures in Louisiana. One was for a butterfly park, and I did one of toucans. It's on Veterans Highway, and those are derived from my metal sculptures. But the other stuff is not. I mean, for my wooden sculptures, which were made in the studio. My glass we do in Seattle, and the bronze as well, and then the mosaics in California. I come up with all the drawings and ideas and get a lot of commissions and whatnot. But it's just been a wonderful thing to see, 100 glass rabbits, and this it's just brought a new whole meaning to the word color into my life. It's just things I could never even thought of. I mean, it's brilliant.
I assume you probably work with fabricators and collaborate with them. And so,
Idlewild Studio.
how have you found that process? I mean, is it kind of made to order, or do you find the inspiration in what they bring back to you? I mean, is it very collaborative?
Yes, it's completely collaborative. I've been to Seattle. I've blown glass, directed it. We come up with ideas. We do these trophy heads that are like a statement about all the poor deers whose heads have been mounted. And we have glass rabbits on velvet backgrounds, which are not part of any animal, just homage to them. So all kinds of ideas come out of it. It's not just one thing, but we do show the rabbits in the shows and groups often. I'm also doing neon. That's been hugely successful. And these light boxes, which came out of my travels to Seattle and drawing on site and coming up with these ideas. So it's added a whole new dimension to what I sit here and do all day. I have a comfort zone where I don't paint, I feel abnormal.
Right.
And I just have a stick in my hand and I'm mark making as we talk. And it's like every mark is a prayer kind of a deal.
Your painting process is kind of a meditative practice for you. Maybe there is like a mantra that you are reciting in your head. Is it ever like a name or a phrase, or is it just?
Oh, I have a lot of ones. I've learned, I've been given different ones. It's, a real mantra.
And so do you find that you really rely on this meditative practice to center you? I mean, do you ever go without painting for a day and just feel,
Well, sometimes it's good to stop. When I go to Louisiana, I just gather ideas. My whole Bayou series has come out of, I have Bayou Teche and Bayou Lafourche behind my houses and Old River. I just come home and work from memory on a lot of that. So I think Boucher said, you're painting when you're not painting. I paint my dreams. I had a dream the other night about my ascension in blue and how I was weaving this whole universe with this mark making into the blues and the silvers. And it was like real and it wasn't just on canvas. It was interesting.
So is that going to find its way into a real painting?
Oh, it does every day practically. I do something along that line. Yes, it was just a dream comment on what I'm doing, I guess. And I work with not a lot. I work with several energy workers, and she channels a lot of people, and we get comments about color from people that are no longer with us, and it's really interesting. So it's coming from a lot of different places.
I gather that you're a huge fan of color. Is there any one specific color that resonates with you more than any other?
I'm very fond of painting large spaces blues, intense blues, because they kind of are so mystical. So without specific space, I like painting huge hallways, rich blue. I just did over the staircase at the castle in a blue. I covered some hideous wallpaper. Not that I don't like wallpaper. This just was not.
Right.
It just changed the energy of the whole place practically. I'm very fond of reds and yellows. I would say those are my three favorites. Yellow really is good to sleep with and makes you feel great. And red is very centering and makes everything look phenomenal against it. I think Hockney once said if you paint a wall white and you put a painting on it, everything goes, when you look at it, your eye goes to the edge of the painting. If you paint a wall color, which museums are doing finally, again, after 150 years, your eye goes to the middle of the painting. That's a better way of viewing it. And I love salon style. I remember going to the Renwick Museum in Washington as a kid, which was a typical Victorian salon style thing with poofs to sit on and the whole thing. And that's sort of what I do at the houses as well. I love gathering little things in huge groups, filling odd spaces.
If somebody wanted to keep up with you and your work, is your website the best place for them to keep track of you?
Well, it gives you all the galleries that I show and what shows are coming up, and it has a lot of other information on it, probably huntslonem.com.
Is there anything big on the horizon that we should be looking out for?
Oh my God, so many things. I have a show in the National Gallery in Lithuania. I'm having a show at the Roscoe Museum in Latvia this summer. I'm having a show in a museum in Germany outside of Cologne. I'm doing a show at the National Arts Club. It's just been redone. They just did a Warhol and a Basquiat show. I'm very excited. It's going to be a big installation in April. I honestly can't remember. I had so many things going on. I just had a big show in Texas and Florida and Montreal, the Belfay, and California. I just had a show in La Jolla. I think it's actually Delray. Anyway, my website would tell you what's going on.
That's a lot, Hunt. And describing that makes me think of another question, which is, how big is your team? Because it sounds like too much for you to try to keep.
We're about 15 studio, and I probably have 25 between the houses and the studio. Not all 100%. You know, I have somebody that comes in to feed the animals every day of the year. She's the most wonderful person that ever lived. Been with me for 44 years. A lot of people, a lot of hands, a lot of turnover.
Right.
It's hard to keep it together. Anyway, I'm here every day and wake up just full of things to do, and I'm so grateful that I'm busy and not bored. And I, meditate at night and work with energy workers a lot and say mantras and prayers. And, spirituality is the only thing that's kept me afloat. I've had some near-death experiences in the last 16 years. And here I am back at it. And I'm excited about it all. It's very